on this episode of Southern Fried Geekery.
I feel bad for when his mama finds out he stole money. She is going to whoop that.
He talked about that shoulder injury. That they asked when he about to get is going to be this.
Oh, she finna tear it. Like, you are never, ever too old to get an ass whipping from a mama. That's wonderful. I love Stephanie.
Yeah. Hey, Stephanie, you want to hear this podcast?
By the way, that pumpkin bread is delicious.
I got that from her mom's church today because she was the only visitor there.
Oh, wow. At least she visited. I'm just a heathen. Well, you guys want to do a podcast?
Well, actually, I got something else in mind.
Uh-oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Southern Fried Geekery Podcast proudly brings to you our WrestleMania special!
Ding, ding!
Starring a recovering Stone Cold Craig Lance, Jerry the King Smith, Mr. Ass Caleb Alexander McKenzie, and me, the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey, sky's the limit and space is the place. This is the Macho Man, Sean.
That was impressive. What just the fuck?
This is wrestling. This is over the top. This is fun. This is action. WrestleMania is coming up next Sunday, April 8th, and I'm hyped. I'm excited. And you guys made the mistake of letting me run the show.
I'm excited.
Jerry was really confused by your intro.
I'm not even going to be on the show because I'm sick, and I just came in here to hear the intro, and I'm so happy I did.
Stone Cold Craig Lance appreciates the entrance.
Can we just call me Mr. Ass for the rest of the
You
day?
can.
God, that was amazing. In case you didn't catch that, I'm Caleb.
I'm Jerry the what? What was that again?
Jerry the King Smith.
Yes,
Based off of Jerry the King Lawler.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And I'm Sean.
And Craig is over in the corner not talking because then he'll cough. This is the Southern Fried Geekery podcast. We'd like to welcome you all back. We hope you've been enjoying the show so far. We've got some really, really fun things in store for you today. Not just Sean's amazing introduction, but we've got an interview with a professional wrestler named Action Jackson who's going to tell us a little bit about what life is like for a professional wrestler. We're going to talk about some of the different stages of wrestling, some of our favorite things. If you get a chance, go back and listen to our last episode. We had a lot of fun doing it. If you want to come to our Facebook page, you can. You should. Jump in the questions and comments with us. We're also on Instagram and Twitter at SFG Podcast. Check us out. If you get a chance, like us and give us a review on iTunes. We really appreciate it. I also want to throw out there that we did a bonus episode that is available now for download. Craig and I had the opportunity to go sit down with an individual named John Lucas. He is a professional comic artist. You can very easily find his work. It's available. Normally he does what we think of as mainstream comics, but he just today had his work on the Dick Tracy comic strip hit newspapers. And so, that's go find it. It's really good work. We were able to see the stills from that. It's been a lot of fun seeing him weave through the mediums.
Oh, absolutely. He's a talented guy. And for the record, I was chewing because I thought you were going to get into that first.
Oh, my bad.
You're going to get a folding chair to the head because this is the WrestleMania special. And we like our wrestling. Everyone loves what he does in tights. We all know this.
He's got a folding chair in his pocket that he's going to throw at you.
A little tiny folding chair.
Yes, but we are. My fellow co-hosts have been kind enough to let me kind of celebrate the Super Bowl of wrestling, as it's called. For those who don't know, WrestleMania is like the biggest show that WWE, formerly WWF, for the old schoolers out there. It's always been the biggest spectacle they put on every year. I mean, starting from 1985 at Madison Square Garden, where it had 19,000 attendees. They have always put on major shows, attracted celebrities. We're talking anybody from Aretha Franklin and Cyndi Lauper in WrestleMania 1 to Ozzy Osbourne, Rob Gronkowski, the sports ball player.
Rob Gronkowski.
There you go. That's the guy.
The sports. But Jesus, I'm the gay one, guys. I shouldn't be the one who has to tell you these references.
To, of course, now Ronda Rousey has gotten a lot of mainstream attention, having her first match next Sunday at WrestleMania.
Well, that's awesome, dude. I'm going to be out of town, so I'm probably not going to be able to watch it. But I cannot wait to just watch you live tweet it basically on Facebook and stuff. You get really giddy about these things. It's really awesome that your passion and just the fandom of it shines through. And you've done a little bit of wrestling in your past, haven't you?
A little bit. I've done, of course, everyone I think has had a living room or backyard match in their life.
Yeah, trampoline matches were always fun as a kid.
But fortunately, thanks to my friend Action Jackson that we interviewed, He got me to at least do a little bit of training. I can say I was complimented on my bumps, taking falls, rolls, selling. No.
See, I did bumps in high school too, but they were way way different than that.
I'm using the insider talk for the bumps. I felt gooder. Okay, that's I felt really gooder in the ring. And also due to as it happens in life, a referee couldn't show up for their entire show, and he called me up one Saturday going, "Are you free?" Like, yeah, why? So, can you count to 3? Like, yep. So you're riding with me to wherever the hell we went. And I refereed 4 matches.
That's awesome.
With 2 former WWF wrestlers that were on the card. Jazz and Rodney Mack.
I know one of those people.
Jazz, most people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a former women's champion.
Well, that's rad. I can't wait for the interview. It's going to be a lot of fun.
But first, I think everyone's going to have to cut a promo by doing some shout-outs.
Oh, you're starting.
Oh, I'm definitely
starting. I'm not taking the initiative on this.
All right.
Yeah, your names first.
I'm going to cut a promo by doing a shout-out to the CWA because I'm not a good journalist. I forgot what the initials stand for. But they are a local, I believe, based out of Memphis wrestling promotion. They've come up to Maumelle several times and having shows, and every single show that I've attended where my buddy Action Jackson was wrestling has always been a charity show. There's always been some kid that's unfortunately like in the hospital or recovering from like cancer, and they raise money for him.
That's dope.
Yes, every show I've seen them do, it's always been that. Like all the proceeds go to that.
I love stuff like that, man. So seriously, I absolutely love it when people do.
Yeah, they the next upcoming show that they have for that is actually going to be May 19th up in Hot Springs. Ric Flair and Jerry Lawler will be in attendance for that show.
Oh, sweet! Like the Nature Boy.
The Nature Boy, woo! Ric Flair.
See, we're talking stuff I know. This makes me happy.
Yeah, and listen, Jerry Lawler, who was supposed to be at the last one, but that was during the Memphis storms that were going on, so he was snowed in at home.
Badass. Well, Jerry the King Smith.
He actually made us all costumes, and I'm wearing a little crown right now. It's the greatest thing
Just
ever.
Believe in your heart of hearts, he's wearing that crown.
Yeah, Caleb's wearing a lot of ass all over the place.
If I could sing better, I would do the Mr. Ass theme song just for you, sir.
My shout out is actually for 2 people, cute little couple. It's friends of mine, Tori and Chris. Tori she's been in the cosplay community for a while. She's with a group of people that I'll probably do a shout out for later on. Her page is Fantasia Cosplay, Fantasy Cosplay, but it's spelled PHANTASI3 Cosplay. But then with her boyfriend, they actually just started a business of selling comics and collectibles, and they have their own page called Rebirth Comics and Collectibles. So go check them out, guys. They've got a lot of cool stuff. They're both on Facebook and on Instagram, both of those page names. So yeah, they're pretty cool people, local, all that good stuff. Go check them out.
Sean mentioned that Mr. Ass, who I did not know was an actual thing.
Badass Billy Gunn, Mr. Ass.
Had a promo, so I'm gonna start my my shout out with my theme song. And it's funny because it's true.
You're welcome.
I need to find a way to make that my ringtone. But no, in real life, I want to give my shout out to Mr. Chris Revenant. Craig and I are leaving Wednesday morning with our respective spouses to head up to Chicago. While we are there, we're going to attend C2E2, which is the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo. We're only going to get to go for one day, but our spouses were gracious enough to let us work that into our little mini couple vacation. While we are there, Mr. Chris Revenant is throwing a house party for the 11 o'clock comics people who are going to, the fans of 11 o'clock comics.
Side note on that, while they're gone, I'm house sitting for Craig, and I'm going to be having a house party here at Craig's house. So you're all invited.
WrestleMania party at Craig's house. Suplexes, alcohol, and
all of the
debauchery.
All of the Southern Fried fam. And all
Southern Fried fam. Yeah.
Fam.
I'm going to let you guys work that out. But while we are there, Chris Revenant is opening up his house to a bunch of us who are friends, at least on Facebook, Twitter. Wendy Freeman, who I've spoken about in her podcast. There's a lot of people in the podcast community are going to be there. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited about meeting people in person that I've been friends with for a long time. This is going to be great. Cannot wait for this trip. I'm super pumped. Thank you, Chris. We really appreciate it.
All right, some good shout out, fellas. And now we're going to get to a little insider term called the dirt sheets. That's wrestling news.
That sounds like it could be way worse.
Only with everything that you're ever involved in.
I'm going to make everything about this episode dirty.
Well, I mean, it's wrestling. It's dirty. It's always dirty and sweaty and tights.
And half naked men.
Giggity. All right, but yeah, this was our news segment. Keeping the wrestling related news, I'm definitely going to have to point out that John Cena has been officially cast in the video game adaptation of Duke Nukem. You can't see him, but you can hear his theme song coming. Personally, I think that's great casting. I know he's. I've had a few people comment about it, how because he hosted the Nick Kids Choice Awards, and he's usually his character in WWE is always generally family friendly.
Very clean cut.
But he makes some of the funniest dirty ass movies out there. So
Oh, yeah.
I think he's a perfect fit for Duke Nukem, who is just a 90s action hero with
chainsaw hands and machine
yeah,
guns.
I would say Ash from Evil Dead one-liners. It's just a combination of Arnold Schwarzenegger with wit. You
Yeah.
know?
I've seen a few movies that he's been in. He can act. I mean, he's not the world's best actor by any means.
His
But he wouldn't
comedy,
have to be.
his comedy stuff is definitely way better than his like
Well,
serious.
we don't bring up the Marine
stuff
and
like that.
and the exact same movie he made again, where he was not a Marine, but also still
Yeah.
doing the Marine movie again.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious to see what they do with that show.
I think it'll be like if they keep it campy and what it should be, over the top violence. Can't like they said they're going Deadpool level of this humor, raunch, and all that kind of stuff. So that's Duke Nukem in a nutshell. So I'm down.
I'm also down. Well, I'm going to carry us through here a little bit, and I actually want to talk about something that Sean has posted on our Facebook page, the Southern Fried Geekery Facebook page, where you should go on and jump into conversations with us. New Mutants has gotten pushed back, and then gotten pushed back some more. They're doing reshoots. There's villain problems, apparently. What's up with this film? I'm really excited about it. But, like, what is happening? Like, what is this another example of the studio executives looking at spreadsheets and stepping in and putting their noses where they don't belong, or what? What's going on?
If you get into the article a bit deeper, you do find out apparently like reshoots are never good and delays aren't always very good either. But the article is kind of positive that a big reason they're changing it was because that trailer was very misleading about the amount of horror the original film was. And now with the success of it, they're crediting it to, they believe they can go full horror with this movie now, which is what the director apparently always wanted.
Yeah, they should have done that in the first place.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, maybe he got involved in the trailer and was like, hey, let's show what it could be. So there's hope for that. The villain you talked about was a cutout scene, was going to be the post-credit scene, and apparently this completely dropped. They cast, he was John Hamm as Mr. Sinister.
Wow.
That's everyone's reaction. I'm not wholly familiar with Sinister, but everyone else said that would have been a great casting.
That would have been.
But apparently he is, maybe it was contract, some issues came up, he's gone. That's done. Not saying necessarily for the Sinister role, but they did state that Antonio Banderas has been signed on for the movie for some undisclosed role.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that. I'm curious. I don't know who he's going to...
Maybe not necessarily Sinister, but he'll be somebody in there.
Yeah. Mr. Sinister's a great character. I mean, he really is. John Hamm would play him excellent. I'm just kind of, maybe Marvel needs to put that one in their pocket until they finish buying Fox and getting the Marvel stuff back.
I would love that.
The thing here with Antonio Banderas is he's probably just playing himself because he's a real like life mutant. He's an actual mutant. Don't look at me like that. I know you saw Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
I don't know how that's a defense of what you just said.
I don't know where he was going with it. So, Jerry, you got some news?
Whenever I went to look up my news, I remember that it was April Fool's and everything's fake today. So apparently they're doing a Masked Rider series here in America. That's not happening.
They already did.
So Soul Crushed. Yeah, I know, but that doesn't count. So
Just want to interject and say, if you hear lots of coughing happening, we live in the South and it's right in the middle of pollen season, which is an actual season in the South. So everyone's a little stuffed up. Everyone's a little scratchy in the throats. We're not, I don't think, contagious, but that's what's happening in the background. We apologize.
Craig
Don't
might be.
touch me. Craig might actually be contagious. We think Craig got space syphilis or something. We're not real sure.
I've been going off the plague, is what I've been calling it.
Yeah, and we feel bad for our buddy because he really isn't feeling well. But he's here not only in spirit but in person. He's just quietly in the background. So Memphis Comic Expo has started to roll out its guest list for their show on October 20th and 21st. We all live really close there. There's a good chance we're going to be there. sounds like it's going to be a great show. They've gotten some really big names like Joe Staten of Green Lantern fame. He's the guy who invented Kilowog and Lobo. He is on Dick Tracy, apparently. Bob McLeod of New Mutants. Ty Templeton and Rick Burchett, both of them are known for Batman Adventures, which Sean's going to be really excited about because he's a big fan of Harley Quinn. Rafer Roberts, who is known for his work on multiple Valiant books and the webcomic Thanos and Darkseid Carpool Buddies of Doom that he did with our buddy Justin Jordan. So they're going to be,
awesome.
this close to us. I'm excited. I'm ready to go there.
Don't get kicked out of the con.
Why would I get kicked out of the con?
Don't get inappropriate with your friends.
I'm always inappropriate with my friends.
That's true.
That's what wrestling's about.
Bob McLeod, if you have a problem with the way Caleb pronounced your name, feel free to come on this podcast and fight us over it. Maybe the Steel Cage Challenge.
Also, we now know some new stuff about Captain Marvel. We're going to see Ronan the Accuser come back, and Korath is also going to be there, along with a whole lot of 90s fashion, because it's, as we said before, it's going to be set in the prior Marvel universe than the present.
I love the article. This was really freaking out that they're wearing band t-shirts and jeans. Those are totally not worn anymore. So 90s.
Man, my whole thing with it is I've already seen Buffy. The feels that I'm getting from this film, everything that people are talking about, it seems very Buffy. And I love Buffy. Don't get me wrong. I love strong female leads. I love strong female young leads. I think it's great. But I've already seen Buffy, and I don't need my Air Force pilot adult professional to act like a teenage girl.
Right. Oh, that's fair.
So yeah, a little more stuff on the news side of things. The Inhumans are about to die, which is news because we kind of already all thought they were dead, or at least thought that Marvel wanted them to be dead. Donny Cates and Ariel Olivetti. Donny Cates, who we are all a big fan of.
Is there anything that Donny Cates is not doing right now?
Dude's a rock star. Ariel Olivetti is it's unfortunate that Craig doesn't feel well today because this is something that Craig and I have a difference of opinion on. I actually really like Ariel Olivetti's art. Craig is not a big fan of the guy.
We really wish he was here with us right now. Hopes and wishes, Craig, when you hear this podcast.
Thoughts and prayers on
prayers.
Facebook. Not actually helping, but thoughts and prayers anyway.
We're all making fun of this because Craig is actually sitting here at the table. He's just not feeling well and doesn't have a voice.
He's supervising.
So he's directing us, and he's showing us how much he loves us. But yeah, Donny Cates and Ariel Olivetti are working on a miniseries. It's going to be a 6-issue called The Death of the Inhumans, and you can go on Google right now and you can see some cover art from the comfort of your own home, which is always nice. Thanks, Google. About 28 years ago, Mike Mignola did a adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. It's an insanely good-looking book. I've got 3 out of the 4 issues, and why this thing hasn't been reproduced and isn't available is insane. It's like they don't like money or something because they would rack up on it. Well, finally, 28 years later, it's getting published. It's coming out in a collected edition. It's being reprinted. This book is beautiful. If you're a fan of horror, if you're a fan of horror comics, if you're a fan of Mignola, his Hellboy stuff, grab this when it comes out because it's dope. It's I don't like I said, it's a legendary book. It's hard to find single issues of. I've only got 3 out of the 4. I'm going to look for the 4th one at all the cons I go to. I'm really, really happy this is getting...
Yeah, because it's a movie adaptation.
Yeah.
In the comic, which, you see those every now and again, but and granted, he wasn't, I think he did this right before he started Hellboy. So he wasn't really the big name he is now.
No, he's still doing a lot of work for Marvel. And this was put out by Topps.
Right.
So Topps actually did this when it came out.
I think the hang-up, though, was a lot of just copyright issues with the movie company. Now, I guess De Palma who did that? Coppola.
So. Coppola. Oh, yeah.
Coppola made the movie. Maybe he had issues. I don't know, but...
Francis Ford.
I've never read it. I love that movie. I'm buying that book.
You should, dude. I highly recommend it. Does anybody else have any more nerd news to go over? Because I've got one last thing, and it's a big one.
Go for it.
All right, guys. If you were connected to the internet in any way this past week, you already know the biggest news that I'm going to be talking about. The Fantastic Four are coming back. The first family of Marvel has been missing since Jonathan Hickman took them off the board in Secret Wars, I think, 3 years ago? Their ongoing title hasn't been produced in a very long time due to a variety of reasons ranging from film right issues between Marvel/Disney and Fox to extremely low sales numbers, which is a part of that conversation a lot of people don't like to talk about because it messes up the flow of the conversation they're wanting to have. But we now know for a fact they're busting back on the scene. We're going to get the first family back. The Fantastic Four is going to be hitting the shelves starting in August. from the creative team of Dan Slott and Sarah Pichelli. Dan Slott has worked on everything, but a very, very long stint on Spider-Man. I think he's ending his decade-long run on it very soon. He's switching over to Iron Man and now, apparently, Fantastic Four. Sarah Pichelli is the artist. She's an Italian comic book artist. Very, very wonderful person. Amazing artist. If you want to see some of her stuff, she did the Ultimate Spider-Man and where Miles Morales was introduced. So she was the artist that kind of brought him to life. And that's some of the stuff that she's well known for. She's done a lot of other stuff too, but that's the biggest one. If you're a comics fan, the Fantastic Four is iconic. And the fact that there has not been a book is a little bit blasphemous, honestly. But there's reasons for that. But I'm really, really pumped. I love the direction that Marvel's going. I'm so glad we're getting those guys back. But also, Marvel 2-in-1 is going to keep going with Chip Zdarsky. It's not getting canceled. Now, whether or not it'll still use... right now it's using the Thing and the Human Torch. Whether or not it'll keep using those as the 2-in-1 goes forward, because if you're familiar with 2-in-1 history, they can do any characters they want to do.
Right.
But it's not getting canceled. It's still going to be an ongoing comic. So, lots of yays all the way around for that.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, like you said, whether you're a fan or not of Fantastic Four, I'm personally not. It's crazy to think how long it's been since there hasn't been a Fantastic Four book.
Yep.
They're one of the premier teams in like superheroes.
Well, they gave birth to Marvel's teams. Marvel, the characters, they had standalone characters, but they really gave birth to this Marvel identity of what the characters could be and the family dynamic. Justice Society of America was, I think, one of the first team groups from DC, but it took them out and it humanized and it made it understandable maybe in a way and relatable in a way to children.
Well, they added the family aspect.
They did, yeah.
So, yeah. Indeed.
Good
that's coming back.
Getting it around the same time that we're getting another Incredibles movie too, which is Incredibles 2 is coming out,
which is the best Fantastic Four movie ever made.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the news I've got. It wasn't a big news week, probably because you do have such events like Easter and Passover and April Fool's Day coming up. But yeah, that's some big things, although they're not
definitely some
widespread.
Stuff's happening.
Oh, some huge stuff
for sure.
Speaking of huge stuff that's happening, we got the opportunity to sit down with a professional wrestler, Mr. Action Jackson. It was a really fun interview. Had a great time. Sean, you did a great job directing that.
Oh, well, thank you.
Kind of some behind-the-scenes magic. We did pre-record this, so we're injecting that in there. So Craig and Jerry were not on this. It was just kind of me and Sean running it. Sean running it more so than I was. But
you interjected very well for not being a longtime fan at all.
Thank you. I appreciate that. There's a lot of overlap between wrestling and comics. And just between wrestling and... I'm a big football fan, so I understand the rigors of contact sports and, the life of indie anything.
Indeed, and that's honestly why I was hoping like a wrestling special. I'm hoping it does well. Hope the Southern Fried fam out there enjoy it, because there are. I mean, wrestlers in a sense are real life superheroes. They're big people in spandex fighting the bad guys, fighting the good fight.
Yeah, man. Well, let's jump into that. Here is our Southern Fried interview with Mr. Action Jackson.
Southern Fried Geekery.
All right, Southern Fried fam, we actually have a guest in the studio today. Bill. Who?
Woo! Was that the sounds that the birds made when they attacked you?
No, it was just it was just a terrible impersonation of New Day. But yes, some birds scared this guy.
That happened. Our big tough guest for today.
Yeah.
In the studio, we have former main event wrestling cruiserweight champ, a multi-time tag champ with the likes of Mike Anthony as the OMGs. He's also teams up with Big Daddy Yum Yum for Chocolate City Tag Team. He also teamed up with a guy known as Buko Dow for Team Rush Hour, which is just an amazing name.
What is it good for?
If you've ever paid close attention while watching Raw, SmackDown, or even NXT TakeOver, you may have seen our guest on there and various roles, jobs, and physical abuse given to you.
Oh my gosh, that's all it is, just abuse, it's all over the place, just abuse. But I loved it, man.
That's why I call it SmackDown.
Man, the SmackDown is black ass, a candy ass, excuse me.
That right there is the one, the only Action Jackson.
Hello.
Hey, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate y'all for having me here.
Hey, we appreciate you coming here.
Oh, for sure, man.
You know, we got WrestleMania coming up next week.
I'm so excited. I'm going to be in New Orleans, by the way.
I was about to ask you that, actually.
I'm about to tell you. It's going to be Main Event Pro Wrestling's going to be running the show. You know, going to be doing it on Saturday. It'll be before the TakeOver. It'll be like, I think 3 p.m. on that Saturday because TakeOver is like 6, 7.
Yeah, pre-show 6 starts at 7.
Yeah, so figure all the wrestling fans around the world is going to be in town, so why not have a show there the same weekend? Same day, matter of fact, as TakeOver.
Oh, hell yeah,
so,
where at?
We're talking about packing the house out. I'm not sure. It's a local high school. I can't think of the name of it. I need to get on there. But
yeah, you give us the information, man. We'll share it on our page to spread the word.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Sure. I'm going to have to pull it up right now on my phone because definitely everyone's going to be in town. You got WrestleMania in town. And then why not promote your own business and make some money at the same time?
Oh, absolutely.
Network, you know, get other people to come check you out because, you know, WWE recruiters and guys are going to be all over the place anyway, checking out local promotions and stuff.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. I mean, treat it like an event and an exhibit, a chance to get together and sell your wares, show them what you got.
Okay, so it's going to be at the G.W. Carver High School Gym, New Orleans.
Awesome.
New Orleans, Louisiana.
So, I mean, we got a whole weekend of wrestling going on for that.
Man, it's all for sure, definitely. And we're not the only wrestling promotion there, but you'll have Wildcat Sports and you have a few other events out there, independent promotions anyway. But I'm going to be a part of Main Event Pro Wrestling, so we're hoping for the best turnout, you know, trying to spread the love. You know, WWE's in town, and everyone wants to be on WWE. I know I want to be on WWE. I want to have that contract, you know. And ever since you've known me, Sean, that's all I know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've known you a long time, actually. I've seen you come up from your training all the way to what you're doing now,
From
man.
the backyard days.
The backyard days to just, man, like I said, I've seen you come, I've seen you grow. I've seen you just.
Trying, man. I'm trying.
You get better every time I see you wrestle. That's not blowing smoke up your ass as your friend or whatever. You know, I tell you, if you fucked up, I'd tell you.
Oh, yeah. I've gotten those too.
And like I said, I mean, legitimately, I'm a fan of what you do in that ring. Because
I appreciate it.
Tear the house down every time I've seen you wrestle.
I appreciate it, guys. Anybody listening, find me on Jonathan Holt. Seems like no one likes the Action Jackson page, but since we're at it, follow the Action Jackson page. Post all my matches, promos, interviews, everything on there. You want to see some nice action-packed matches, there you go. Action Jackson, Jonathan Holt. That's who I be. Speaking of which, they used my whole shoot name on ROW when I worked for Booker T.
No shit.
Did you see me when I did I did 2 of his shows last summer.
Man, I try to keep up with like what you post on Facebook, but you know how Facebook is, man. Sometimes I probably miss some stuff.
Yeah, it was ROW Reality of Wrestling. Booker T has his own promotion in Houston, and I got booked on his show, which was an honor because he was one of my favorites growing up.
Oh, that's awesome.
So imagine one of your idols that you watch growing up.
Yeah.
He's wanting you to work on this show and stuff, and you get to show him what you got. Like, well, I used to watch you, now you're gonna watch me, and we'd be a fan of each other. So I mean, that was really, really cool to work with. Anyway, they used my whole shoot name. It's like Action Jackson, Jonathan Holt. So I'm like, okay, So I mean,
all right, Book, whatever you say.
Whatever you say, sucker.
Who was his tag team partner?
Stevie Ray.
That's right.
Harlem Heat.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's WCW.
That should say if I know who he is, that should tell you something. Because I'm not I'm ignorant in the ways of
well, there you go,
modern
Book.
wrestling.
There you go, Book. You see how well known you are. What he did for pro wrestling back in the day. He helped do anyway, or Harlem Heat combined. So.
Yeah, man. I
mean, Booker T been in the game a long time ago, starting what?
I
don't know if G.I. Bro was his first gimmick or not, but that was early.
I know he did that in the 2000s.
Oh, no, like that. They brought that character back.
Oh,
like he did that way back in the day.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I know he's big on it. He loves his G.I. Bro.
Oh,
he has it in his office and everything next to Obama, But,
of course, you got G.I. Bro and Obama side by side.
Go figure.
But, so, man, we wanted to just bring you in to get your thoughts because, like, I've been a fan. I mean, granted, thanks to you, actually, you gotten me as close to wrestling as I've ever actually managed as a fan.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of training, a little bit of bump work in the ring. That one time you called me up asking if I could count to 3 and referee some matches I did terrible at, but we got through it.
Hey, we got through it. No one got hurt that bad,
Exactly.
and we lived,
Yeah, that's all that matters.
The next day.
Right. But I just want to bring you in as an indie wrestler, someone who's, as they say in the business, paying your dues, working through the indies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's that like? I mean, I know you're on the road, you travel, you live near me, but I know you're always out of state.
Right. So it's like 2 ways to look at it. It's 2 types of wrestlers, in my opinion. Like, it's the type of wrestlers that do it for fun. Like they have their regular normal jobs that they do every week, and they have their families and stuff like that. And then, they like to enjoy themselves on the weekend and by having their escape, which is, being a professional wrestler, or some people say a weekend warrior or something like that. And that's no disrespect towards people who look at it and do it like that. I respect it because that's how I was started. I always wanted to be a professional wrestler. Oh. For one, I always liked attention.
You?
I was an attention, attention whore, like that. So I mean, why not? And some people don't want to really go further than that. They got family, like I said, family, friends, and home and work and all that kind of stuff. So they can't really just leave. But when you have something nearby, then they can do that and entertain their family and friends and do what they love to do.
Right.
Versus other people, like what I've changed to is someone who's actually looking for a career, a real job to pursue, where I'm traveling around the world. Hopefully, make it to New Japan or TNA, anything like that. But of course, everyone, most people who really wants to land a secure job or career would want to go to WWE.
Yeah, because for those who may not necessarily follow wrestling a whole lot, WWE is the top dog now. Like everyone remembers the Monday Night Wars in the '90s with WCW, and through financial issues and all kind of problems, WWE has come out on top now.
Come up on top, I know, man. I mean, those are the best times. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Those are the best times to ever watch pro wrestling because. Name one time when you can ever watch one show, and then when something boring comes on it, or the commercial breaks, you just flip it over to the other channel, and then you got Undertaker right here versus Stone Cold. Then as soon as they go off, they go on a commercial. You flip to Nitro when it's Goldberg, my favorite, and Sting. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, that was the best time to watch pro wrestling. I mean, it was just when kayfabe was really good, and it wasn't super exposed as it is now. And it was just the stuff, man. Like you couldn't ask for a better time to be a wrestling fan than in between, I'd say 96 and 2000.
Oh, it was definitely the upturn again because, you had the 80s with the Hulkamania, which wrestling was definitely at a peak of popularity, with kayfabe still going strong for the most part.
Yeah.
Maybe a little sink down to the bottom. I remember the time I kind of was watching wrestling when I was younger. I was watching, of course, Hulkamania, Andre, Jake the Snake, and my boys. I was like, okay, let me check out what's wrestling going now in the early 90s. I saw a dude named Max Moon, which I found out later was Conan, in a spaceman costume. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'm not going to watch wrestling as much anymore. Yeah. But, then, of course, Monday Night Wars. But that's what the thing is, competition. I want to say brought out wrestling. And what I kind of roundabout way of going into it, is you mentioned TNA. You mentioned the other company.
Or Impact Wrestling.
They changed W back in the day.
Oh, yeah. But like there are they're still playing like Ring of Honor. If they could ever get like some kind of national exposure, I mean, I don't know if they'll ever hit WCW levels. But that's it's a big company for the indie scene, as they call it, indie scene.
Well, they say now is the best time to be a wrestler ever. With all the exposure you can get and how easy it is to get seen on the internet or television, or what have you. But WWE kind of in a way competes with itself when you have Raw, SmackDown, then you have NXT. Because a lot of people don't like to watch mainstream Raw or SmackDown, but they'll watch some TakeOver all day.
Oh, dude, I mean, yeah.
So, I mean, that's, to me, it's a good thing, It's like, because it's kind of like college basketball and then the NBA. You see the NBA are the polished stars and, they're making millions. But, if you ever watch or pay attention to NBA, they don't play as hard as they do in NCAA. Or same as football. NFL, not really, because they brutal in the NFL too. But, okay, let me just stick with the basketball. But it's a little more laid back unless you're talking about the finals or something in basketball when you're talking about NBA and college. And that's how I kind of look at it when in WWE, you see Raw and SmackDown. God forbid these guys work, 5-6 nights a week.
Right.
But, their matches on Raw and SmackDown are a lot more laid back as far as, doing crazy stuff like jumping off ladders and all this crazy cage matches and, whatever type of matches they put it. But when you watch NXT, you see these guys that are trying to make it to the mainstream show. So they're literally working twice as hard, in my opinion. I feel like because that's what I would do. I want to
prove yourself.
I want to prove myself. I want to get in the door. I want to get that mainstream spotlight. I want to get that spot on the big show. And then when I get there, then I can relax now. I can
because you gotta get attention, you gotta get noticed. So you're out there busting your ass every day.
Well, it's like you made the allusion to the collegiate sports versus the professional sports.
Yeah.
the reason some people argue that there is more passion in collegiate sports is because they're trying to get drafted.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to get hired. They're coasting on scholarships. They're getting their degree, but they want a career in that. They want to be in the big time, because once you hit that point to a certain extent, you're maybe not set for life, but you're there.
Yeah, you're there. And a lot of times that's just the goal. And goals change. People's goals and their dreams change. Like at one point, I always said, I just want to be a wrestler. I want to be a wrestler. One day I'm going to be a wrestler. And then when I accomplished that goal, I was just so much more hungry for what else was out there. It's like, well, I'm a wrestler now, but now I want to get, do something, get on TV. And then I started wrestling for these promotions like TCW. I got on TV, got TV exposure, or even recently with ROW or whatnot. And now it's like, well, not now, but within the last, 5-6 years, it's like, I got to get a job at WWE,
Yeah.
And so that's just been the goal for me. Of course, anything before that, like if it was New Japan or Ring of Honor, yeah, I want to do all that. I want to get on there. But my ultimate goal is to make it and get signed by WWE. But I know it won't even end there, because as soon as I get signed there, I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm trying to be the top dog. I'm trying to be this main
headline WrestleMania.
I want to headline WrestleMania. I want to be a heavyweight champion. So forth. So I'm not gonna just, even though I just said that was the goal, but that's not the goal. Is just to keep going.
Well, you can't ever. Yeah, you always got to be hungry, man.
Yeah,
and I stay hungry
Absolutely.
all day, man. I just want like people who know me from childhood, man. They seem that I've been living out my dreams and I haven't given up, and
absolutely,
it's just I'm really steady with it. And growing up, seeing people who changed professions and done different stuff, they always, come to see me and be like, man, you stuck with it,
Yeah.
And I'm not even tired of it. I'm not. I'm so hungry for it.
Well, I want to back up a little bit, because before, like we were just talking about, before you get to that top ticket, you get to that top billing spot, you got to hustle, and you got to be on your grind all the time. How do you, as somebody who's trying to break into that industry, like you said, you've got people who have their families and their jobs at home. They do stuff, local shows on the weekends, and they're content with that. But as somebody who is trying to hustle, you're trying to grind, you're trying to get on the top, you're trying to get noticed by recruiters, but you still got to pay your bills.
Still got to pay my bills.
Yeah,
so here's the thing.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about what that's like.
It sucks, because when this business, it's a big S that comes part of it. It's called sacrifice. You have to really be selfish. You got to think. Just faith. It's the truth is the truth.
Yeah.
If you really want to make it big, you got to put aside the stuff that means most to you. Whether it's having a nice car, whether it's having a girlfriend or getting married or something like that, or even if you got kids. I've known many wrestlers who pursued wrestling, over making it to their kids' birthdays every year and stuff like that. And mainly those guys are in the WWE now. Chris Jericho's like, he's known for it. We all know what Chris Jericho's done for the business.
Oh, absolutely.
And and I know he wouldn't take it back for nothing, but he misses his kids' birthdays. His family, his wife's anniversary, just stuff like that. Stuff that's really important. Chris Jericho sacrificed so much, for the business. Because that's what he loves and cares about.
Are you talking about the lead singer of Fozzy?
Yes.
That dude wrestles? I didn't know.
That's great. Yeah. So
April Fools.
But it's the weekend warriors that don't want to give that up, because their values are more into, I want to be the family man, or I want to have my career at wherever they're working at. Or then there's guys like me who have 3 kids. Can you wrap it up? But I have 3 kids. I love them, and I do what I can, everything I can in my power to support them. But I'm trying to accomplish my dreams and goals by sacrificing the time that I spend with them. Before anybody think anything, I do take care of my kids. I pay. I do what I got to do. Spend time with them.
But sometimes doing what you got to do means you have to miss those birthday parties.
Yeah,
and stuff. You have to be on the road.
I work for Delta. It's my shoot job right now. I gently place bags in airplanes. Okay, fuck it. I throw that shit in there. But anyway, I still have to, come support my children financially and stuff like that and do what I got to do. But wrestling, actually, from where I've started to where I am now, I'm almost to the point where I probably don't even need a job or work 40 hours every week, because the merchandise and what promoters pay me to come in and do shows for them and stuff is just my work. Everything has improved so much where it's like, I want to be able to do this full time where I don't have to work for Delta or do anything like that. And Even though I'm sacrificing the time, I'm still able to do, what I need to do just by sticking with wrestling and making money off of it.
Right. I'm actually glad to hear that you've gone over there because like a lot of people may not realize how tough it is, especially early on into the indie wrestling scene. Like, you can only speak from your own personal experience, or if maybe you've heard of a worse story than what you've had to encounter. Like, here's a question for you: what's the furthest you've driven for a match or a show, and got the least amount of pay you've gotten in your time?
Okay, well, it wasn't okay. So the furthest I've ever driven, I've ridden with Sir Mo, which is one half of the tag team, former tag team champion WWF, Men on a Mission.
Yep.
So Sir Mo and Big Daddy V, King Mabel was his name at the time.
I remember King Mabel.
So they were tag team champions. So I've developed a relationship with Sir Mo about almost 5 years ago, and as a matter of fact, he's been giving me so many bookings, and he actually hooked me and Bret Hart up because I have a relationship with Bret Hart. Yeah. So, but through Bobby or Sir Mo, he helped open a lot of avenues up for me and get me seen by a lot of promoters. Anyhow, me and him had driven all the way up to New York City about 3 years ago. So we're talking about maybe 26 hours, Right. I drove 25 of them.
Pay your dues, young buck.
I paid, and I did. And it was a long, long drive.
I've done that drive. It's a bitch.
Yeah, it is, man. It wasn't
especially
cool.
from Arkansas now. We got a lot of listeners who live up in, they live up in the Northeast and stuff like that. Guys, we are way down south. It
For
is
sure.
a motherfucker of a drive.
Well, here's the thing. He was in Nashville, so I had to leave here to go pick him up from Nashville. And then we went from Nashville up, through the back way, so... But it was all, and then I'm sorry, I can't remember the promotion, but it wasn't in New York City. It was like somewhere in the mountains, something. I don't know. Yeah. But I made like $150, something like that, and that didn't even cover gas. But in my mindset, I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to get my name out there because at the end of the day, I'm looking at the bigger picture. WWE look at guys. If you look at most talent on their roster, they're independent guys or indie guys that's been all over the place.
It's an investment.
So it is. It's an investment because they look at guys who's well known already around the country. So if I'm being seen in New York all the way to being seen in, Los Angeles, California, just being able to get that exposure like that will be all worth it in the end when it all wraps around sacrificing.
Oh, absolutely.
So I had to definitely put money into this or an investment by on the road and hotel and all this kind of stuff, but at the end of the day it's worth it because I still got 400 or 500 people in New York who still to this day remember who I am and what I can do.
Exactly. So paying the dues. So.
I hear something very similar. Our podcast most of the time is about comics. That's we talk about comic books, talk about the comic industry. We relate it to a lot of like nerd culture stuff. But I hear the same thing from guys that do indie comics, where they'll spend thousands of dollars to produce this indie book, and then spend hundreds of dollars to drive to conventions around the country to sell 6 or 7 books to make $20-$30. But it's also about the hands you shake and the the names, the business cards you pick up, and the names you punch in your phone.
And like so, what I'm going to try. I wanted to talk to him about the grind of how to get up into the big business because there's some people who I've heard that's like, oh, so they just went and tried out at WWE and they instantly got a contract. It's not that easy. Yeah. There have been maybe a handful who came up through the developmental center or something, but most of them, especially the ones now, are the ones coming up paying their dues. Wrestling in bunkers and like you said, you got a high school coming up, but nothing wrong with it. I mean, that's how you
for sure.
master your craft. But I just wanted to hear. I wanted the audience to hear firsthand from someone who's going through that.
It's so hard because with WWE, you don't really. No one knows how to get signed by them. All I know is what I can do to help myself, which I know what they like to see. They like to see someone that has a good look, good body, not fat, whatever, who knows how to wrestle, and the guy who can cut promos. If you can sell yourself on camera, if you can make 10 kids buy your T-shirts and stuff like that, then maybe you can help Vince McMahon sell 10,000 T-shirts, a night or something. I do know that's one of the key things that they do look for and stuff like that. But no one really knows. Like, if I had the answers, I'd be there already. I would have been there 5 years
of course.
ago. I kind of look at it as like a movie director looking for a certain actor to portray a character for a certain upcoming movie, It's like you just got to be there at the right place at the right time or just have the right look or right face, Right. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is because I've done extra spots 18 times, and they know who I am. Like they guys who mean a lot there, they know who I am. But I mean, I guess I'm just not what they're looking for at the moment. But you know, I'm still grinding. I'm still trying to get it. They know, and I'm one out of literally thousands of guys around the world that's trying to get a job up there.
Of course, yeah.
But you know, if there's anything that I believe in John Cena about, and one thing that I really love about him is the saying "never give up" because it's true.
Right.
It's some real stuff right there. You you never give up, because if I would have given up the first time I thought about giving up would have been like 2010 or whatnot, you know. And then the following year I got my first WWE booking and tryout and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, well, I'm glad I didn't give up because then I would have missed out on that. And it seemed like every year after that I've been going up there, you know, doing these little WWE extra spots and all this kind of stuff. But I learn something every time I go up there, and I get I get so much better every year they pass. I get better in every avenue. So I'm not gonna give up, you know. I'm gonna keep pushing, you know. And then my age doesn't discourage me either, because at one point that used to bother me. It's like, well, I want to get in there before I'm 30 or 30, you know. 30. Well, I'm 32 now. Right. But when you look at guys as like Finn Balor or even DDP, who started when he was 34, I look at that stuff as an inspiration right there. And that's another reason why I will never give up, because I mean, you know, you never know. You never know. Right. All you got to just be in the right place, right time. But if I happen to be in the right place at the right time, I'm going to be ready. So that's why I keep pursuing and doing everything the best I can. I'm trying to stay on top of my game. So, because I'm going to be ready if if they call my name.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you got your foot in the door, even if it's just running EMT or security spots.
Yeah, man, it don't matter. MVP did that. He was a security guy for Kurt Angle, and you see where he is, you know, and he walked away from WWE. It didn't want like they released him. He went out on his own terms. Right. So I mean, I wish I could be like, I'll go to them when I want to go, but I just don't want to. You know, I want to have that status right there. Right. You know?
Well, like I said, man, you've always had that drive, always had that desire to go. So I believe one day you're going to get your shot for sure.
I pray so, man.
But,
thank you.
But you've been busting your ass out on the scene now for how many years?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, we'll get some other questions. Like I said, what do we want to bring to light what it's like to be a wrestler? As much as you want to talk about. Like, as far as I've seen you, I haven't seen you with like any major injuries. Is there anything you want to talk about from taking any kind of rough spots?
Big Daddy Yum Yum. The last serious injury I can remember is my boy Byron. I love him so much. We have the best relationship ever. Since when we first met, he literally couldn't stand me. He wanted me to get my ass kicked. But
you do have that effect on a lot.
Yeah, I do have that effect on a lot of people. You know, first, you know, I don't know. I come off as an asshole on accident. People are like, "Oh, this guy smiling about and stuff all the damn time, think shit's funny and stuff." And that's just me. I can't help it. I'm just silly. I like to joke around a lot and stuff like that, but I don't mean no harm. Anyway, I came off wrong to Byron and to Brian and whoever else I came off wrong to.
So you went after Brian when I first met you, so I immediately loved you right off the bat.
And so cool. But anyway, fast forward that we developed a really, really close relationship. Anyway, we had a match at ASWF, and I didn't get any serious injuries ever. But
knock on wood, I hope you never do.
Yeah, I'm gonna knock on wood. If this is what I'm going to
somewhere in there.
Okay,
somewhere
there it is, right there. Boom. God forbid, but it was this one match where it was a spot where I was on the top rope and I took a belly out the top, or I was on the top rope about to jump off, and Byron ran up and threw me over him. And I landed right directly on my shoulder. Oh. You know, and I didn't have insurance, so I never went to the doctor. But I know I felt that instantly. Like, usually when an injury happens in a match, you'll feel it, but your adrenaline will keep you going where you can, I know this is going to suck later or whatever, or tomorrow, but I can keep going. But when I hit that, I knew I fucked up, you know. And I just knew something was wrong because I couldn't move. I couldn't finish. I thought I couldn't finish, but he made me. He pulled me up. He's like, come on, man, just finish and be strong about it. And it was like a little roll up or something. We ended up finishing the match, however, but I really literally from a string of hair couldn't even stand up really barely. And as soon as I walked back there in the curtain, I just collapsed and I like died for a second and came back. But it was so bad. I don't know what happened. I couldn't lift my shoulder. I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't move it. I wanted to go to the hospital, but at the same time, I didn't have insurance, so I just put some ice on it, and maybe I feel better. I'll see how I felt in the morning. Because worst case scenario, I was just gonna have to go. But of course, morning got there, it was sore as fuck. I couldn't really move it. But I felt like I was just gonna, sit it out for a couple of days. Every day go by. Like, I'm gonna see about tomorrow. I'm gonna see because it did. It started feeling a little bit better. But to this day, I never knew what happened. I know it was something bad because it was about 6 or 7 months before it got back to where it probably didn't hurt me anymore.
Wow.
So for month 1, 2, 3, I couldn't even go to the gym and do anything shoulder wear unless it was like 5 pounds because it was something that happened bad. I just don't know.
And I can't imagine because from the top turnbuckle, that's about like what 5 feet from the mat.
About 4 or 5 feet.
But you did a belly to belly, so you're even higher.
And I went. Then Byron is 6'5", so I went over him.
And you was up there.
Yeah, I was up there
and
because when I landed, the back of my butt was on the turnbuckle on the other side.
Oh shit! He threw you across the ring.
Yeah, across the ring.
Damn, Byron.
Damn you,
what
Byron.
you gotta do?
Yeah. He's somewhere smiling right now.
He is.
He's like,
he's gonna laugh about remember that story.
Yeah.
But what I was saying is, I kind of feel you on that shoulder. I fell nowhere near that far.
Yeah.
But I came down on my shoulder when I used to take jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And that fucking rung my bell just landing on the shoulder. So
that
I feel you.
That rotator area is nothing to play with because I'm telling you, it was like almost a year where it just didn't feel like normal. I know I said about 6, 7 months, but it was probably longer than that.
Right.
That mug just was stubborn. Like it's something simple as the weather changing aggravated.
Right.
It's like just couldn't do nothing right. Couldn't bench press nothing. Couldn't do shoulder any kind of shoulder exercise. It just sucked.
And you kept,
but
had matches then.
But I kept doing it. I just kept, I kept my look because I just kept doing cardio and stuff. But other than that, I wasn't strong.
But you kept having matches even while
yeah,
that's well known in wrestling.
And that's part of it,
You're never 100%.
Well, and that's one thing I think a lot of people, as I said earlier, I'm not necessarily into the wrestling game. It's just not my. I'm a comic book nerd, but a lot of people who aren't avid watchers of wrestling or avid consumers of wrestling, there's this idea that wrestling is quote unquote fake. It's staged. And I don't
dropped the F word on the show.
Yeah, man. Well, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it.
I just find it funny. Like, anytime I hear somebody talk about how... Like, yesterday, I literally was on Instagram arguing with this little kid. He's like, you old fake-ass wrestler.
It's a grueling contact sport. And it has to be from in and out of it. It's a grueling contact sport. It doesn't get the respect it deserves for that. Professional fighters, professional boxers, professional MMA fighters, you fight a legit fight once every few months. If you're a professional boxer, you fight every 6 months. You either win, you lose. Either way, you're getting your ass whooped. And you get a little bit of a break to go train and stuff. You guys are doing it week after week after week after week. You're getting punched for real. You're getting kicked for real. Even if it's not meant to be that, it's a very aggressive talent. So,
for sure.
How does that... What do you do? What do you do to keep yourself being able to go on?
The honest, the God truth, this is weird, but it's like the more you stay active doing it, the less it hurts. But if you wrestle and have a match and bump every 2 or 3 months, you're gonna really feel like death because it's like, man, I'm not used to this, But it's a lose-lose situation in reality because even though if you do it every day, like guys in WWE, you're wrestling 5 days a week, whatnot. Yeah, your body's used to it, but in the long run, most of those guys, we're just gonna say names like Jake the Snake, Hulk Hogan. You see them dudes walking around, you thought that they fell off a building,
Oh yeah.
Because they're just literally for life fucked up, Yeah. Even my guy Bret Hart, when I noticed when I took him to the airport, he got out and he had this little, this just disturbing watching him walk because all
they're not wearing those knee braces just for aesthetic purposes, guys.
No, for sure. It's far from fake, If someone misses me when they go for a kick and they missing me and clearly don't make no contact, I'm still falling down, landing on that hard ass mat.
Absolutely.
So and then I'm getting right back up just to do it again. I don't. You don't know what fake is until you know what a bump is. So you know how to fall down. Even if it's falling down on grass or a mattress, you're still kind of nervous going down on it. You can land on the mattress the wrong way and fuck yourself up.
Absolutely.
Yet alone some 2x4 wood with a little bit of foam over it. Oh my gosh, come on now. And then, like in my case with Byron, come 10, 12 feet out of the air and landing right on my shoulder. But
I'm fake gravity, folks.
But you can't fake gravity. I'm not going to argue with nobody about it because, they don't know, And it's funny because it's so ironic, like the little kid called me a fake-ass wrestler, but his favorite superhero was Batman. because Bruce Wayne is so real, you know. I love Bruce Wayne. Don't get me wrong. I love Batman, you know. But don't come on now. Your wrestling's fake, but I love me some Batman. I love Iron Man and how he do all this flying and shit, you know.
Oh yeah.
But okay.
Oh, I actually had my brother. We hadn't seen each other in a while. He went into the military. Came back. I was watching Nitro, and he's like, "You're still watching wrestling?" I'm like, yeah. Even though you know it's fake. But yeah. But so is every movie you've ever watched.
Every movie.
And he's like, I'm not going to argue again. Yeah, okay.
But that's the thing, though. Even if done correctly, there's no way you can do a move like a powerbomb or a suplex and not feel it.
Oh, no.
And that's
for sure, no.
I mean, that's where the training comes in.
Yeah, the only thing
how do you hurt yourself the least?
The only thing you can say about that is one of them hurt more than the other one.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? They all hurt. It don't matter if, like I said, even on the trampoline, this shit hurt, man. Fucking powerbomb.
Dude, I mean.
So, and then anybody and trying to explain it to a woman, you know, like, do y'all really hit each other? Is it really real? Lady, it's real as a porno. Yeah. It took everybody a second. I see. Yeah.
I had to catch up.
I like that.
It's real as a porno. Look at y'all. See how long it takes. They're really having sex. So, but yeah. So I mean. But that's
I have to go watch wrestling.
That's what it is, you know.
Right,
I mean,
right, absolutely.
So does the boss man, does the film director tell us what we should do to tell a story? Yeah, just like in a movie, right?
Right.
You know, same thing. But I mean, those actors, I ain't gonna say they don't get hurt on the sets, but they don't do it. 300 days in a year.
Oh, and they get stunt doubles.
Their stunt doubles get hurt on the set.
I'm just saying, you know.
No, absolutely.
And I respect actors and movie actors and stuff because I'm a big fan of Marvel and DC and I love comic books too. You know, I like watching movies, but it's just so funny that people who sit there and hate on the sport of wrestling. You don't have to be a fan of it, but you can respect it.
Right.
It's an art.
Like I break it down like when I tell people it's a live performance.
Mm-hmm.
There is no take two. Nope. There is no cut, reset. Let's try that again.
You ever heard of a botch?
and you see what happens when they do try to reset and do it again. It looks awkward as hell when they try to redo the move.
And they'll fuck themselves up even more trying to redo it. Don't do it if it didn't work the first time. Yeah, go.
Well, you brought up an interesting thing because there is a lot of overlap between comic fans and wrestling fans, and in a lot of ways, wrestling. Before we had the
comics,
it is. It's before we had the. Before we had the big budget movies and stuff like that, we did have wrestling where you had your foils, you had your bad guys, you had people getting kidnapped. Miss Elizabeth got taken, and
I'm gonna tell you, 99% of all professional wrestlers are comic book superheroes.
Oh, for sure.
They all. I mean, look at gimmicks. What are gimmicks exactly?
Gimmicks ain't nothing but a secret identity.
You seen the Captain America shield I wore out there to the ring a few times?
Yeah,
I wore a Captain America shield to the ring just because it was just badass. I just liked the way the straps went across my shoulder. It was a big ass shield.
Yeah, tights and bright colors. Man.
Boom, boom. There it is.
What's so in doing this? What's your kind of favorite storyline as a wrestler? Because you talked about it a while ago. There's a director. There are storylines and stuff to do. What's your favorite storyline to do as a professional wrestler?
Like given to me?
What do you mean? Yeah, that you've done.
My favorite storyline.
What's been like a favorite feud?
I don't know. My favorite feud has always been with my boy Mike. Me and him have really good matches together because me and him were trained by the same guy, which was Rodney Mack from WWE. Yeah. Rodney trained Mike and myself both. Also, Big Daddy, trained Byron as well. I like feuding with Mike because we were just we wrestled very similar. We're very tight with each other, and we're really literally out there fighting. It's funny because before we go through the curtain, we're like, man, I love you too. I'm sorry it was about to happen. I'm sorry it was about to happen to you too. And then there we go. We're going out there and we tell really good stories. We beat the shit out of each other, like whatnot. And
what's great is
happy, But we don't hurt each other either, and I'm not on this wood again. But like when we go, we go.
Yeah.
And
I've seen a few of y'all versus mine. As great of a tag team as y'all are, you're even better when you're feuding against each other.
Yeah, I love it. I love my boy Mike, and I love working him. I love working Byron too. But me and Mike, we can tear the house down, literally. So
I've seen it. I mean, you guys have earned your way up to the top main event. I think you guys have main evented a few shows before, but when I was able to kind of attend regularly, you guys are usually about mid-card or so. Yeah. But my God, y'all put out the match of the fucking night.
Yeah, it is what it is. Just gotta. Well, now what I don't like though, I don't like giving roles or something that I'm not. Like my least favorite time was when I was John Omari at TCW. I was I was a singer or this / Kanye. I mean, I can get the Kanye West part a little bit, but other than me
You
being
do
a
love
singer,
you some you.
I do love you some me, but it's like when they want you to be like some kind of gangster or something like that. I'm like, this is so racist, and it's not even me. I like the fact that now they let me because the same guy who ran TCW runs CWA in Arkansas now, and when we do those shows, they let Mike and myself be who we are instead of something that they wanted us to do, and I think that's what another to add to your question. What's my favorite part about storylines is when they let you be yourself, because most successful people, all the successful wrestlers from your Rock to your Steve Austins to whoever, they're being themselves. It's just they elevate their character a little bit, but they're themselves.
And charismatic.
How many times you seen my matches where it's like that's really John?
I mean, we who know you are like he just being John in spandex.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that's going on right now,
Yeah, so,
and that's what works. And you're absolutely right. And I think that's what connects people, which is the next thing I wanted to bring up. I've seen a recent video you posted on your Facebook of you and Byron went and talked about the bullying.
Oh,
kids.
God. Hey, I'm the biggest bully.
And you are a bully.
I'm a bully.
But you put the fake on and tell kids to not be bullies.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, though. The truth to that is I was bullied as a kid.
Right.
Ever since elementary to junior high it stopped like before high school. But I was always made fun of because of me being odd. The odd one. My brothers like basketball and rap. I grew up liking rock and roll, video games. I mean, we all liked video games, but I just wasn't the athlete like they were.
You didn't fit into that mold.
I wasn't the guy that was hanging around all the popular groups, even though I did want to be everyone's friend,
Right.
And it's just I just didn't fit in with everybody because I just had my own interests. I was kind of like that loner, that lone wolf kid. I wasn't like suicidal or nothing like that or trying to kill nobody, but I just like doing my own thing, you know. Right. And then I was just the biggest wrestling fan, even when kids thought it wasn't cool no more. I didn't hide it at all.
We still seen that infamous photo with Goldberg.
Oh God,
at the show, young ass.
Yeah, that's okay, man. I'm a little dude to the day I died. Regardless how bad I realized he was of a wrestler, he was.
Hey, you're a fan, doesn't matter.
But I was being bullied to the point. I'll share this real quick with you.
Sure.
If my mom hears this, she's gonna have a heart attack because I haven't told her that to this day. So when I was young, people used to bully me so bad on the bus. They used to pick on me, push me, talk about me, talk about my ears, everything like that, to the point where I used to steal out of my mom's purse at night. I used to steal $5, $10, even $20 bills out of my mom's purse, and then I would take it on the bus and be like, "Hey, will someone be my friend today? Who wants to be my friend? I'll give you $5 to give you $20. And of course, everybody, ooh, I'm your friend, I'm your friend. And I just throw it up and everybody fighting over the little money, and I'm throwing it up in the air that came out of my mom's purse. And then I'll take it out. Okay, you still got big ears and shit like that. So I'm like, I really, 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 I was that desperate, and only to go home at night to see my mom cussing my dad out, thinking that he stole from her and stuff like that. And poor guy was denying or he was justifying, I didn't take nothing from you. And I'm just like, I don't give a shit. Now I ain't got no friends. They still mean to me,
Right.
And,
So what you're saying is there's some folks out there that need to send you some dollar bills.
Y'all owe me.
Yeah.
And then that's how bad it was. That's how bad the bullying thing is in America, because I know I'm not the only kid that's been pushed to that limit where they do dumb shit like that, stuff they regret, stealing from their parents, just to have someone say, "Hey, I like you," And so we go and reenact these situations in front of these kids where, I'm being the bully because, I know how it feels to be bullied and being picked on. So when I reenact on how the kids used to treat me, that's what make our little circus go so good. Our programs go so well, and the kids can relate and they enjoy it. It's funny, all that kind of stuff. But it's a learning experience about how serious bullying is. I mean, hell, you just saw what happened a few weeks ago with the kid in Florida, killing 17 people. Man, this stuff ain't no joke.
Right.
I like I said, I never want to kill nobody, but I know the things that being bullied do, what it makes you do, things that you normally wouldn't do.
Right.
But it's serious.
Yeah, it is.
Being picked on is serious, and it's a great thing because I don't know. I would have given the world to see Goldberg come to my school, telling me about bullying. Hey man, it's gonna be okay. I'm your buddy. I'm here for you.
And I saw the kids' reactions to y'all out there talking, and it's like you said, that is the true representation of how wrestlers are equivalent to superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Exactly.
you look, you're larger than life. You're wearing flashy costumes. It's a very positive thing you do. I'm glad to see you doing that kind
Thank
of
you,
stuff.
man.
And I'm glad I didn't know that about your past. And I'm glad to know it's coming from a personal place, and that's really what makes it effective.
So will you let us know when your mama whips your ass?
Oh my God!
We will share this.
I want to come watch.
I think I'm gonna videotape when it. I'll take her to Mari. We'll have to probably take her to Mari. You know, like, Mom, I got something to tell you. And they're like, what you gotta tell me?
Well, hey man. First off, again, thanks for coming out. I just want to, kind of lighten it up a little bit. WrestleMania is about to happen. It's coming up. Who you got? What match you looking forward to? Who you got?
Man, I mean, of course, I'm looking for Brock Lesnar. You know, I'm looking at Brock Lesnar. I want Roman Reigns to go ahead and take that pedestal. You know that fans are denying. I mean, fans have every right to cheer and boo who they want to, but Roman Reigns really works his ass off, and he's like another Cena where you got your smart fans that just like boo, like these guys really work their asses off.
And that's the thing about Reigns. Like, I'll be honest, like when he first, I was kind of on board with like a little too early. This I wasn't really impressed with his mic or his ring work. But now that ain't a complaint anymore. He has paid his dude. He's been in the spotlight. His mic's gotten better. His ring work's gotten better. Quit hating him just to be cool. If you don't like him, it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's what it is. It's a fad. It's a fad to boo the top guys just because they're the top. Because you feel, I don't know. I guess it makes you feel better about yourself.
That's all they can do because they're not in that ring.
I don't know. But, I don't know if you want to get in the ring with them, but still,
But what about everyone's really hyped for Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles?
Yeah, that's going to be like pound for pound probably the best match as far as entertainment value. You're going to see all kind of action-packed, no pun intended, stuff going on in that match right there. I'm also excited about Rousey an angle with Triple H and Stephanie. I'm excited to see the success is going to be bring pro wrestling. By saying you're going to have the attention. Yeah, you're going to have so many people from all over the world that don't even watch pro wrestling just to see how this is going to be. And that's another reason why I hate to keep going back and forth, but Goldberg, why he was my favorite wrestler, because even as a kid, I'm like, man, there's something real about this shit. Little did I know he used to really fuck people up. What he did do that was good, he made people who didn't believe wrestling or watch wrestling because of him, because it was real, True. And you listen to Buff Bagwell that I talked to personally, or even Brett. Like, his matches were real because they were real. It wasn't fake, whatnot, but, no one really was excited to work them, but that brought so much more attention to pro wrestling, especially for people who thought it was just stupid and fake and stuff. To see him like, oh shit, this dude's a monster. But anyway, back to Rousey, she's going to bring so much attention, and give, help give wrestling another spotlight or another fan base, from people who only watch the UFC or, especially women, the little girls that love Rousey, and they're going to be coming along watching that. So I'm excited from those three matches, and then of course Cena and Taker, to see how
the inevitable Cena and Taker. So, okay, man. Well, we know it's we're recording this on Easter and holiday. Everyone got families to go to, so listen, we appreciate you coming on. Is there any last thing you want to say out to the world? I
just want to let everybody know that y'all can do anything you want to do. For those bullies out there that's picking on people out of the spite of you just trying to feel good about yourself, it's gonna come back and bite you in the ass. You better stop. Leave kids alone. If you're still in school, do your schoolwork. Leave people alone. Stop picking on people. You don't know what you're doing to somebody. What you think is funny to you or to your friends isn't funny to them. You can drive someone to kill themselves or other people. Stop bullying. Stop picking on people, and then be their friend. Be there for them. You never know what you're capable of doing or what you can achieve in life. And you need to love your neighbors. Love everyone. And that's all I really got to say about that. And then don't run up on doors that got bird nests. Big ass bird will bully and scare the shit out of you.
Truer words ever spoken. Brother, I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, man, thanks
show.
Thanks for letting me come. This is great. This is good stuff right here.
A lot of fun, man. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Southern Fried Geekery.
All right. That was a great interview. We were really lucky to have him.
That was a good time, dude. Really good time.
I was really glad he's a busy man, so I'm glad he made some time to come stop with us. And I hope y'all enjoyed that interview.
Yeah, on Easter Sunday.
Right, no
jumping
less.
in with us. I feel bad for when his mama finds out he stole money. She is going to whoop that.
He talked about that shoulder injury. They asked when he about to get is going to be this.
Oh, she finna tear it. Like, you are never, ever too old to get an ass whipping from a mama. You don't admit that stuff, man.
That's true.
Well, what do we have next, Sean? Direct us.
Well, what we have next is a challenge for a Steel Cage Comic of the Week.
Uh-oh.
Brother. So let's look at what comics we all like this week. What do you say?
Let's do it, man.
I guess I've been kicking off everything, so I will continue with a book. Should be no surprise to anyone who's been listening to any of our previous shows. My book of the week is Saga, number 50.
See, when you say it should be no surprise, no one knows if you're going to talk about Batman, if you're going to talk about Savage Dragon, or Saga. So it's pretty much a coin toss.
Okay, that's fair. But it was my book that I was looking forward to last week.
It was.
And it is. Saga has turned 50. It's been an amazing book. If anyone who's reading it, you know very well that Saga loves that first page. When you first open that book. And this one did not disappoint. With an amazing illustration of our two leads, Marco and Elena. Elena, thank you. If you have a problem, she's fictional.
So come fight you like that.
Enjoying each other in the only way that lovers can.
So, Sean, how do you spell cunnilingus?
F-U-C-K, Jerry. Basically, it is Marco full-dating Miss Elena in a powerbomb-esque position, keeping it with the wrestling.
Oh, he's powerbombing her already.
Oh, yes. And that's the only regret. After he was done, he should have just dropped her into the
So I've got some friends up north and the Northeast that they, take advantage of the subway system and the train system. And they always talk about how it's just they can't read Saga in public.
Oh, I literally opened my issue up in the comic store, first page. Nope. I have to be respectful of the youngins that read the comics.
Yeah, man.
But another phenomenal issue. It's still, right now we're definitely in a setup. A lot of things are going on in Saga. Prince Robot, I'm especially curious about how this is going to play out. Anyone who's been following knows that he's going to be getting a completely new identity, including a new body. So that's going to be real interesting. Again, one who's crept up out of nowhere. Some of my favorite characters are these journalists. They've just they've been in the book for a while, but they've really grown on me.
Yeah,
just really good character development.
Yes,
See, I read
absolutely.
Saga by trade, so this is all new to me.
Oh,
That's why I love that you were reporting on it.
Spoilers!
I don't mind. Everything's on this is a spoiler.
And I mean, if Matt was a better person, I would have suggested we should use this panel of Hazel doing a flying jump kick, yelling "Kapow!" located in Sherwood, Arkansas, off Kill Avenue. But he probably would like it because diversity in comics. But again, Hazel showing some growth.
Getting trained by Petricor.
I'm terrible. It took me this long to memorize the main cast. I'm gonna keep adding on awesome characters. But getting some training from there in magic and martial arts. Mm-hmm. And then I love Gus.
I don't think it's possible
so
not to
much.
love Gus.
Him just talking with Squire, Prince Robot's son.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm remembering wrong. Okay, never mind. But yes, of course, something has to go wrong with all their well laid out plans, and by God, it's going to be Squire.
Mm-hmm. He's planning on running away.
He's running away. And then we get another interesting thing at the end here is this newest bounty hunter that we've been following. And like I said, I'm a bad journalist. I forgot this character's name.
I want to say if you go to the back, that cosplayer, it says their name.
That's a good point, right? That's why you're on point. Ianthe?
Yeah. Well,
because I'm used to the will and the stock, and this one doesn't really have
a something to do
title
with
like that.
Maybe,
but showing up, take out someone who has a pink lion cat of sorts, which is a variant on the Pop Funkos, and then revealing that she is in control of the will.
And that boy is back in shape.
Oh, wow.
He got in shape. I can't cosplay him anymore.
I think it's kind of cool because we always saw that he had that hood, that mask. I don't think he was.
I was actually about to comment that if he has worn it, it hasn't been since his first appearance.
And did he lose his hand at some point? Is that a?
He has a gauntlet on, so I don't know. Maybe it's a new version of his lance.
Because he doesn't have his lance. Did somebody else? One of the other people?
The female bounty.
The female who does that? What's her name? Yes. I'm terrible. I love this book. I know nothing about it. Aren't I a great fan? This is why you all tune in with this amazing insight that I'm giving right here, right now.
It wasn't Sophia, was it? Was she the slave girl? Or was that the ghost girl?
Marco's ex, I think, has.
Yeah.
But yeah. So another amazing issue. More setups that are going into, of course, will be another great miniseries. I call it miniseries because they do their 5 or 6 issues and take a break.
Yeah, they're for trades.
Another amazing season. Again, Brian K. Vaughan's writing. He just writes people and emotions perfectly. And Fiona Staples is just a godsend to art.
They're really good at sex scenes.
And of course, they make it much classier than the sex scenes I usually get in my Savage Dragon books. But yeah, so Saga was my Steel Cage book of the week.
That's badass, dude. Well, I think I'm gonna follow you up and leave Jerry for the main event on that one.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to take us away from Image and to Marvel. I consider myself pretty plugged into the comics world. I read a lot of comics news. I read a lot of articles online. I read every issue of the previews when they come out. It's not often that I don't know a book is coming out, and it's not often that there is a book that comes out that I know I'm going to like that I don't see coming. So when that happens, it catches me off guard, and I love it because it's just like being a kid again, and almost like I haven't been plugged into everything. Like I'm not just oversaturated with information. I briefly...
We said these cats will be on the show.
Oh, absolutely. They're the fifth chair. The book I want to talk about this week is LockJaw number 2. I briefly spoke on LockJaw number 1 in the middle of one of your conversations on the previous episode, like you like to rub it in. I edited all the parts out that made me sound like a douchebag. So
so all of your parts.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
all right.
That was it.
When Caleb likes to talk about LockJaw. Not in context of the comic.
Oh boy. So the best way I can sum this book up is this is a story about D-Man, who is a C-level Marvel character that not a lot of people knows, that takes place in conjunction with the teleporting dog of Inhumans fame. LockJaw. So D-Man is a character that, like I said, not a lot of people are familiar with. He's somebody I actually love from comics history. He's been homeless. He's a bisexual or gay character that he gets talked about, but he's not. He's kind of homely. He's out of shape, overweight. He puts his costume together based on the scraps from other superheroes that have, like, when you see Spider-Man getting his ass kicked and his costume's all ripped up, or Daredevil, his costume's all ripped up. Those are the scraps that he's picked up to make his costume. Well, D-Man has been having some problems just in Marvel continuity. He has lost his powers, so he was a superpowered individual.
What was his powers?
He's just incredibly strong, incredibly awkward. I don't know if awkward could be a superpower, but
definitely.
He was. But that was just kind of him, and he lost his powers. But in the past issue,
he's not awkward anymore.
No, he's still awkward. Still incredibly awkward. That doesn't go away. In the past issue, LockJaw, this teleporting dog, shows up on D-Man's doorstep out of nowhere. They've never really had any connection in history. This book is written by Mr. Daniel Kibblesmith, and it's drawn by Carlos Villa. It's inked by Roberto Poggi, and Chris O'Halloran did the colors on it, and it's incredible. This book has got more heart than half of the books that I read, and I read a ton. Like I said, LockJaw shows up on D-Man's doorstep kind of unexpectedly. They get attacked by armed and angry hamsters that have hovercrafts and weird machine guns.
As tends to happen.
What happens in that issue is LockJaw teleports them to the Savage Land, and that's where this issue picks up. So you get this issue, and again, this is a book that's very aware of what it is. It's a little absurd. It's really funny. It knows that it's got a gay character who has recently gone through a divorce, so he gets in the Savage Land. And when I say the Savage Land, who should you automatically think of?
Sauron.
Close.
Sauron,
yeah, Khazar.
Yeah,
absolutely. Is it Devil Dinosaur?
No, it's Khazar.
Oh,
Khazar, and his
Khazar or is it Khazar?
I say Khazar, but it may be Khazar.
Khazar, if you have a problem with the way you said your name.
Who is a half-naked barbarian living in the Savage Land.
As they tend to do.
And so D-Man just kind of pops up and is just looking at this, I don't know, this paragon of all that is man, and is, just kind of gobsmacked and dumbstruck, doesn't really know what to say. And then you get all these dinosaurs running around, and I mean, if you know the Savage Land, it is an area of Antarctica that is not frozen. It is very much the dinosaur-filled tropic that was. It's this area of Antarctica that is kind of set in time. You do get characters from like Sauron and everything from there. So in this book, basically the gist that you get is that there's something going on in the Savage Land, and Khazar, there's a villain that Khazar is fighting, and he's not really sure how to fight him. There are these animals that you see their carcasses, and they're dead. But Khazar is a very nature-driven place, and not Khazar. The Savage Land is a very nature-driven place, and Khazar explains to D-Man that this is not normal. This doesn't happen here. Yes, animals kill other animals, but they do it for food. They don't just kill them and leave them just out laying around. They don't kill for no reason. Then there's a cut page where there's some behind the scenes stuff that you assume is with the weird hamster army, but you don't get much information. You just know that somebody's watching them. Kazar has been trying to cultivate crops, and it's not working out so well. Just really, really funny niche jokes in this that they get to. Well, towards the end of the book, you hear Kazar talking about the beast that is doing all these things, and what you come to realize is the beast is a little bitty, teeny tiny French bulldog who is adorable, and she leads a pack of wolves. Oh my God. But she is telepathic, and she can communicate with LockJaw, and she just walks out with her little headdress on, looking amazing and cute.
Oh my God.
And she, like I said, her and LockJaw communicate with one another. She doesn't sick her pack of dire wolves on them. They walk away. D-Man actually has to stop Kazar from chunking a spear at one of the wolves, which would have been a really terrible idea, and it really served no purpose other than to set up for a joke and, maybe to see D-Man put his hands on Kazar's really, really well-defined chest. Of course, when they come to odds one another, Kazar doesn't like being told no. He and LockJaw make eye contact. There's some growling. LockJaw transports them out, and here's where the spoiler-filled warning is, and this is going to get to just how gloriously absurd and fun this book is. The people who were shrouded in shadow earlier that you were meant to assume had something to do with the weird flying hamster army is actually Spider Pig. Who has a giant galactic tuning fork, and they are trying to figure out some things in the multiverse. And so Spider Pig is hanging out, and of course says this is going to be weird, and that's the last line of the book. So that's my book for the week. Really, really fun. Next week we're going to get to see Spider Pig and LockJaw hanging out. More D-Man having fun and just realizing that his life is kind of awkward and sad, and him working through those things. I personally hope that he becomes more of a mainstream character because he's a lot of fun. I like seeing a character, especially a gay character, that is not, a chiseled, muscular, skinny person. This guy's, kind of like me. He's a little out of shape. His hair's unkempt, chubby and round and kind of bearish. And I enjoy seeing that representation of somebody I can relate to in comics. So, again, none of that is really the main theme. That's just kind of a side thing. The book is hilarious. It really is. It is old school, fun, funny, hokey comics. I don't normally understand comedy, but I understand this. And I love every minute of it. And Spider Pig.
And Spider Pig.
Spider Pig. Spider Ham.
He does Spider Ham.
Spider Ham.
Spider Ham. Okay, yeah, Spider Ham. Sorry. Hey, yeah, that's you can correct me on that one. It is Spider Ham. Excuse me.
All right. Well, going into my book of the week, I was originally going to pick Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 25 for Shattered Grid, but I didn't realize that there was a prelude issue to it, and they had a previous storyline with stuff that it touches on. So I really want to read all of that before I talk about Shattered Grid on the show at all to really decide. I mean, it was a really good issue. I still read it and everything, and it was pretty cool. And I loved seeing all of the different Rangers and stuff that they threw into it. But I promise I'll get back on that later because I know so many people were so ready for me to talk about that book. Instead, what I picked is something that was really, really interesting. It was a Doomsday Clock. If anybody's familiar with Doomsday Clock at all, it's coming off of Watchmen. Set in the DC universe is essentially them bringing the Watchmen into our DC universe. It's number 4 is the issue this week, and they've done a lot of really interesting things. I think they brought in the 90s. Is that where it was in their universe, or was it present day?
In the Watchmen, it starts off. I mean, the Watchmen spans
in the 80s.
Decades, so it spans from the 60s, which is where you get your Minutemen, or from even before that, you get your Minutemen, all the way through the Cold War in the 80s and stuff like that. I think in the last scene, it's meant to be in the mid-90s.
Yeah, so in the last issue of this, Rorschach had this new Rorschach had split up from the rest of the group of the two villains whose names I cannot remember right now. I know it was like a mime and his girlfriend.
Mime and Marionette.
Mime and Marionette, thank you. And Ozymandias, and there was some crazy stuff because Ozymandias went to go find Lex Luthor and talk to him about saving their universe. And Rorschach went to go find the other smartest mind, and he went to find Batman. Well, Batman was essentially like, "Oh, I'll help you, yeah." And then they got into his car, and then he basically tricked Rorschach into a cell at Arkham Asylum. So this issue picks
Getting
up.
dirty.
I know, right? This issue picks up with them getting into who this Rorschach is, and it turns out that the psych that was interviewing Rorschach, it's his son. He kind of touches on how he's been bullied all of his life. They go through, and apparently he got put in an asylum back on his Earth because he went off for college, and on his way home is whenever the event happened with Ozymandias dropping the giant alien, and he was in traffic, and he was right out of the range of it to where it didn't kill him, but it still, I think it blew one of his eardrums, and so many people around him died, and he basically went insane, so he got put in an asylum, and then of course his parents died, so he's dealing with that grief. At one point, it kind of shows a time lapse here of him like not sleeping, just nobody's talking to him. He's constantly being attacked and attacking people, and eventually finds his way to the roof, and he runs into a character that I honestly never figured that we'd see. Now keep in mind where we are right now, where this whole flashback and everything is taking place in the Watchmen universe, and he sees this man that's on the roof, and he's talking to him about, it's such a nice night out, and the kid asks him if he's planning on jumping too. He says, "Oh no, I can fly," and he's wrapped in this blanket or something. He's just kind of telling him like, all I got to do is visualize it, and I picture it up in my head, and then he's off and he jumps. And as dark as this series is, I was honestly expecting him to jump and then fucking die. But he flies, and that's when the guards come up and grab the kid. And I mean, it turns out that if you remember anything about Watchmen lore, Rorschach was kind of going through what happened to the original Minutemen and how they were getting knocked off and stuff. Well, one of them was Mothman, and he got sent into an insane asylum.
Yeah.
And this is him. So we're kind of going through. He's being interviewed at Arkham Asylum, and he's kind of having hallucinations and stuff too, while it's also cutting over to the asylum that he was at in the Watchmen universe. They ended up finding Mothman again on the streets, like he was naked eating at a diner or something, and they brought him back.
Like you do.
Yeah. And eventually he starts to become this kid's only like connection to the outside world. I believe that was in DC's universe. They don't ever really say his name because he doesn't talk to him. They just call him John Doe, but his name's Reggie. What basically happens is Mothman kind of becomes his mentor, and every so often he'll construct something, like he'll get Reggie to take like springs or blankets or something like that, and he'll construct wings and he'll fly off and get stuff and come back to the asylum, and he starts bringing all this stuff back for Reggie. They keep cutting to the scene where they're working on a puzzle, and it's Ozymandias, but the face is missing. And he's like, I don't know what happened to this one piece. And it's kind of him trying to reconnect his mind while having all these scenes of him talking to Mothman. And Mothman ends up at some point bringing his dad's notes, and he's going through them. And they get to this one point. There's this one guard that keeps fucking with everybody in there, like, just messing with them.
Being quote unquote that guy.
Yep. And finally, Reggie just fucking punches the shit out of him. And apparently he was, not only was Mothman kind of like helping his psyche, but he was also sort of training him to fight. And it was like each fighting style of every Minuteman back then, because he's going through and he's like, Dollar Bill, Silhouette, Night Owl, Captain Metropolis, Hooded Justice, Mothman. Byron made me into one man Minuteman. He finally finds the I don't think it was the journal, or maybe it was an older journal by Walter Kovacs.
He's going back to his dad's office and bringing stuff back. And he brings back the file.
The file that he had.
The file.
Yeah,
and then he brings back
Walter
the package.
And
That was the second coming of Craig.
Who's not on this episode?
I'm not on this episode.
And I believe it was at that moment when he finally connected the pieces, and just so happened they found the puzzle piece for Ozymandias' face, and he connected the pieces that it was Ozymandias that did it. So he escapes from the asylum and ends up taking Mothman with him, Byron, and they, like, on the way out to create a distraction, he lights the place on fire. And on their way out, Byron stops and turns around and essentially goes moth into the flame. Yeah, he just walked right into it, proving that he is, a crazy person once and for all.
That'll show him.
Yeah. So he finds this package from him, and it's got tickets for a boat, and then it's got the Rorschach's mask in it. And he goes and he finds Ozymandias, who's just kind of lamenting, and you find out that he has a
Brain tumor.
glioblastoma growing in his frontal lobe.
My nurse husband will be proud of me.
And he's essentially dying. So Rorschach just came here to kill him because he's blaming him for killing his mom and dad. And then he kind of comes to this realization that he's just as scared as they are. And he's trying to, Ozymandias has come to the point to where he realizes that he was a monster all along. Like, he tried to create a monster, but he ended up becoming a monster. He convinces Rorschach essentially that he saw the light. They cut back to him being in the psych ward in Arkham. He's been hearing these voices all throughout this time. You see a little cutscene of him and Ozymandias leaving the lair. Cuts back to Arkham. You see Arkham on the outside. It's a video, and it shows in the Batcave the mask of the person that was evaluating him the whole time. And apparently it was Bruce Wayne this whole time.
Nice.
Saying that he couldn't save him. But,
well, that's a good twist.
And it's essentially at the end of it, he finds this girl named Jane Doe who's been in his head this whole time, and it seems like she helps him escape, and they get out, and then they have this whole thing with guards going through. You see a picture float down, and it's the picture of Dr. Manhattan, whenever he was still a human. The picture that he had in Watchmen. It kind of floats down, and then you see this mosquito go into a trap, and whenever it sizzles out, there's a smoke thing left of that atom symbol that he had on his forehead.
That's rad. I'm always astounded by how good the art is in this book.
Yeah, and it's Jeff Johns writing it, Gary Frank's the illustrator, and Brad Anderson's the colorist, and it's just been a really great series. It's supposed to go 12 issues, and I'm just hoping that it doesn't go downhill or anything, because you always worry about that whenever they bring something back that's been over for so many years.
And see, I've quit reading this because they're having some problems with production schedule, and it's coming out like every 2 months. So I'm still getting the single issues. I'm just not reading them. I'm going to wait until it's all done.
Yeah. And it was one of those things that's really like, if I were a more clever person, I would have picked up on more of the themes and the dialogue and stuff that they did on it. But it was just, I know it was there.
Yeah.
I'm just not really good at picking up on subtle things like that a lot of the time. But I've really been enjoying it, and I've always loved the lore that they put behind Watchmen with the Minutemen and everything like that. So seeing Mothman in it again was really cool.
Did you ever read any of the behind or before Watchmen stuff?
I read a bit of it, but I want to say I got skipped on a couple of issues, so it's always been something that I've been meaning to go back and read. I was reading Minutemen, I believe I was reading Dollar Bill, and I was reading Rorschach, but I hadn't got the chance to actually go back and finish those. Rorschach one was really good though. Cool. And I heard Comedian was really good too.
Yeah, Comedian is really, really good. I love that character, as much of an asshole as he is. Well, that rings the bell on our main event books, doesn't it?
Indeed it does, which we do have to discuss what's going to happen next week for the main event.
We do. Before we jump into that match, though, I do want to give an honorable mention. The book that Jerry spoke on, it's a very important book to the to the canon of DC and where they're going in the future. Another book just wrapped up that I think is equally important. It's Dark Knight's Metal by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Sorry, those are not actually the same person. They have not combined. Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, who had a great run on Batman. They just finished up their Dark Knight's Metal series. I didn't particularly enjoy it as much, which is why I haven't spoke on it. There's a lot of things working against it, but I will say that the things that happened at the end of the story, are going to be very important to the lore and the mythos of DC Comics going forward and the things that they do. You've already seen the Terrifics spill out of it, so you're starting to see the wheels are turning. It's a very important to the mythos and lore and to the canon of DC. And yes, Sandman, if you want to know what's happening with DC and stuff, check out Dark Knight's Metal.
That was another book that I was thinking about talking about that came out this week was Terrifics 2. And it was really good.
Very good.
I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed that story much better than Dark Knight's Metal.
Yeah.
I don't want to break our own rules.
That's fair. We have to give our listeners something to look forward to tune in next week. So what is our main event going to be for next week?
I guess I'll kick us off. My main event for next week is going to be Analog #1 from Image Comics.
That's cool. You took mine. But okay.
Oh, did I?
No, I'm just kidding. You're good. I had a bunch to listen to.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. This is written by Jerry Duggan, and the art is done by David O'Sullivan, and the colors are done by the amazing Eisner-winning Jordi Belair. 5 years from now, the security of the internet has been totally destroyed, which is not much different than right now. Secrets are no longer sent over the web. They're entrusted to armed couriers called the Ledgermen, like a human, punching bag Jack McGinnis. He's got a gun in one hand and a briefcase in the other. Danger lurks around every corner, and Jack has to watch his back because he had a part in the cyber attack that changed the world. Jerry Duggan's a great writer. David O'Sullivan's a wonderful artist. I don't have to explain why Jordi Belair wins Eisner's. Her colors do that as well. Really, really fun book. I'm looking forward to it.
The premise kind of reminds me of Private Eye.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, Jerry, what's your main event for next week?
There was a few books that was kind of interesting, but I've been on a Skells and Scoundrels kick, so that's coming out. But they've also got Headlocker Volume 2 trade paperbacks coming out, and My Hero Academia Volume 12 is coming out next week.
Next week, awesome. Yeah. Feels like I just bought Volume 11.
Yeah.
It feels like I just read Volume 1.
You're not wrong.
What you got, Sean?
Well, I've got the book I'm thoroughly enjoying after only just one issue, so I'm excited for the second issue, is the New Mutants miniseries that has been kicked off. This one is Dead Souls Part 2, as the miniseries I believe is going 6-issue run, I think. The New Mutants head to the Arctic research base where everyone has died under mysterious circumstances. Keep that good old horror feel for this series that started off right off the bat. But while they hunt for answers, something is hunting them. Plus, a scared boy in the woods comes face to face with a familiar face from the New Mutants' past, and it doesn't go well. That raises all kind of speculation.
Yeah, man.
Could it be, a classic villain? Could it just be another New Mutant that maybe has left? They've had a lot of people come and go from their existence.
Yeah. Especially characters like Feral, or I know Wolfbane is in that.
Yeah, Wolfbane is still in there, but the mind goes immediately to the movie connection. We're going to revisit the Demon Bear.
Ooh, that'd be cool. It is a mini. It's a mini, so I'd be on board with that.
I wonder.
Well, I'm really, really looking forward to both of those books, because I've got both of them on my list. I just want to say, next week is going to be a little bit of a different episode. Craig and I, as I mentioned earlier, are going to be up in Chicago for the C2E2. The episode that we're going to be dropping next week is going to be mostly live recordings, and we don't know what to expect yet. Hopefully, we're going to be able to give you guys some interviews from some fairly large name creators that you guys may know and love, or that you should. We may have some friends of ours who host other podcasts, do little blurbs and stuff. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. We really, really hope like I said, we don't know what to expect yet. We've got some good plans and we've got some good hopes. So I'm really looking forward to it.
On a side note, house party's still on. I'll send out the invitations later.
Yeah, so if they don't deliver, me and Jerry are just going to poorly set up the recording device, scream into the mics, and put our own episode.
We're just going to do a live stream on Facebook at Craig's house.
You should do that. That'd be a lot of fun. Well, if there is nothing else.
There is actually something else.
We got extras.
Shit.
We're not ending this on comics. What is this, a comics podcast? This is the WrestleMania special.
It is in fact.
So actually, I have a question. And I know you guys aren't necessarily the biggest wrestling fans, but at some point in your life, you've seen wrestling.
Yeah.
Give me a quick blurb or just something about wrestling that you remember.
Wrestling was actually I'm not a big fan anymore, but I was definitely a fan back in the day. I grew up watching guys like Razor Ramon back before he became Scott Hall. Big Daddy Diesel before he was Kevin Nash. I was a big fan of Sting back when he had, 90s Sting with the really bright fluorescent face paint back in the Lex Luger days when he was friends with those guys. As I've said before, I grew up out in the middle of nowhere. My parents did not allow us to have satellite or cable. That was just an extra bill that we didn't need. So I did not get to watch wrestling, quote unquote, on a weekly basis. My neighbor would record on VHS, which are these really kind of rectangular looking black box things that came before DVDs.
For all you youths out there.
Yeah, he would record the main events and wrestling stuff on VHSs and then give them to me, and I would watch them later. So spent hours and hours as a child just not watching it live, but just watching these videos over and over and over again. My favorite wrestling match of all time took place between Bret Hart and his brother Owen Hart before he died.
They had some fantastic matches.
It was a cage match.
Yeah.
And whoever, and I forgive me off the top of my head, Owen Hart's quote unquote manager at the time, who was Blackheart, I think was what they called him.
Well, Owen Hart was called the Blackheart because he had got himself away from the Hart family.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who he was. I can't remember.
It was some weird, like his name made it sound like they were a relation or something like that. But he chained it shut with a bunch of Owen Hart's buddies inside there. And of course, the British Bulldog was in the audience, who in real life was Britt's brother-in-law, married to Britt's sister. And so all of these guys are, climbing up the cage. And this is back before Hell in a Cell, so the cage was open at the top.
Right.
They were, climbing up the cage to get to him, just out of control, balls to the wall, knucking fut's fun. And, of course, by the end of it, Bret Hart came out on top. Brutalized, but came out on top.
Right.
It's one of my favorite. I still have it on VHS somewhere at home.
That's awesome. Jerry, I know you have even less to do with wrestling, but surely you have something you can get.
Well, my favorite recent match that I watched would have had to have been
Good man.
the fight between Rolf Rogan and what did we call him?
He was
El
Ewok
Muerte.
Muerte. So elaborate on that.
Going back to last episode, I'm actually the game master for our Edge of the Empire game. And since Craig was sick yesterday and we just had our game, I had to kind of improvise. Everybody just really wanted to talk about wrestling. And I was like, fuck it. We're doing a intergalactic wrestling match. I threw in anti-gravity cage match, and it was a lot of fun.
And understand that Jerry has only been forced to watch wrestling when I went out of his house. But he set up the story, and it worked out well.
Yeah.
And I was very proud of him for putting together a wrestling match.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was great.
Greg, can you squeeze something out?
Yeah, I'm going to throw my 2 cents in on this.
Try not to die.
Yeah, try to get this out without having a coughing fit. My introduction to wrestling, believe it or not, was Rocky 3.
Thunder Lips, the ultimate male.
Well, when Hulk Hogan shows up and fights Rocky at the beginning of it in an exhibition match, and then from there it went on to Glow, and the people that were around back then were Junkyard Dog and Hulk Hogan, of course, and Andre the Giant, and then I watched it later in the early 2000s for a while. I've been talking to Sean; he's really been pumping me up. I may actually start watching some wrestling.
Yes.
Speaking of Glow and stuff, check out Glow on Netflix.
Absolutely.
Great series.
Very good.
And then another thing I wanted to mention, Max Landis did that really great YouTube video. I don't know if you brought it up at all.
I have not mentioned it.
But wrestling isn't wrestling. It's fantastic shit.
If you want a drunk retelling of Triple H's career in a hilarious fashion, check it out on YouTube.
It's so enjoyable.
I could talk all day about my lifelong obsession with wrestling, but just from watching as a little bitty kid when I really believed it was real, watching the Legion of Doom break, I'm doing air quotes, Sting's leg and Lex Luger coming to save his friend, me and my brother just reenacting all the wrestling that we would watch all the way up into the teens, which was right when the NWO hit, when the Monday Night War started, so wrestling was cool again. All the way till it slumped into the early 2000s when Craig got on the board, back on board. But I love it. It's live theater. It's opera for dudes. You can say or soap opera for dudes and I love it. Whether you call it fake, whether you know what, it's entertaining, and I've always enjoyed it. That's it.
I was going to say, I just want to point out, because you said soap opera for dudes, there are also a legion of women who love that show, so it's not just for dudes at all. But I know what you were meaning when you said that. It's mostly attributed to just a male.
Yeah, absolutely not discounting any of the female fans out there. My wife is more live during these matches than I am, and
she will suplex the shit out of you with her little bitty self.
It's true.
She's tiny and adorable.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Well, guys, we hope you have enjoyed this wrestling special. We hope you enjoyed the interview. We really appreciate Mr. Action Jackson coming to sit down and chat with us. We hope Greg gets to feel better soon. If you've liked what you have heard, and as always, we hope you have, we ask you to please go on iTunes and leave us a review and a rating. You can get us on Twitter and Instagram at SFG Podcast. You can email us any comments, concerns, thoughts, or threats that you want to at southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com. And you can also come and join us on our Facebook page, where we are posting news, articles, having lively discussion, and just reaching out and connecting with you guys, because that's what we want. We want to help build that community.
Just one last little thing. We appreciate and love all you Southern Fried fam. You're not only just too sweet, but you're Southern Fried fam for life.
Oh, I wish we had a way to put the hand signals that you just threw up. Yeah. Sean was throwing up gang signs.
Any NWO fan from the 90s will know that.
All right, guys. Well, as always, go forth, love some comics, and happy WrestleMania.